Oh, hey guys, it is officially time for Ruthday Tuesday, Star Trek edition. Hello. Let me just share this everywhere and bringing you guys up so I can see your comments. But yeah, essentially this came up because I nerded very aggressively on a podcast that us and the GeekChic ladies were on about Star Trek. So we thought it was a good idea for me to do this. So now this is happening. Yeah. All right, so let me just share this everywhere. And I'm going to try really hard not to spoil anything. I'm going to try to do very light spoilers because I know a lot of you have not seen Star Trek Discovery because it is on a streaming service that you have to pay money for just for that show. It's quite annoying, I know. So I'm going to help you out and tell you a little bit about it so that you can decide on your own whether or not you want to put in the money or the time to watch it. Honestly, as a Star Trek nerd, I always feel like you probably should, but we'll get to that. Let me just share it a couple more places. Oh, hey guys, seeing a few people join on. I'm gonna share it here. Bam. Okay. So, a little bit about Star Trek Discovery. It's if you start watching it, out the gate, you're going to realize it's not really a Star Trek show. It's very different from any Star Trek show than you've ever seen. And luckily, I actually did have a discussion this weekend because, of course, I discussed it more than once. I had a very deep conversation with Hector at the Hyper RPG Thanksgiving that happened this last Saturday night, specifically about this series. Now, he was not a fan, so this is what gets tricky, like he was not born and raised a Star Trek fan, and I think that's one of the things you need for Star Trek Discovery. Like you have to, you still have to know, like you've had to go through everything else, but I think what helps if you don't have the aggressive nostalgia, like obviously I do. Wait for it.
Since my customary farewell with your automated self-serving, I shall simply say, good luck.
Good luck. Okay, so, so Star Trek Discovery is good. It's a very different Star Trek show. Now, what was brought up to me is that one of the reasons it's so different is because we haven't seen this. So, if y'all don't know, it's a kind of betweenquel, because it's technically between the pilot episode of the original Star Trek when you had Captain Pike, and then but in the 5 years before Kirk. It's like in a very specific 5 years. Well, there's like a huge war that happens with the Klingons. So this is like everything that's happening with the Klingons. So it's definitely more cowboy, right? Because we still have those cowboy versions of Star Trek. We don't have the perfect, ones that we had in Star Trek Next Generation, where they're very clean cut and like they go by all the rules and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little different. And just out the gate, be prepared. If you've always been a Star Trek fan, be prepared. The Klingons are really gonna make you angry, like very angry, because they look nothing like Klingons. Like, understandably, we have had different versions of Klingons from the original, but then to Next Generation. But we were told it was genetics, it was a thing, and like Worf didn't want to talk about it. Exactly. Okay, so thank you, Gary. He says Pike's 5-year mission technically ends in the same year as this takes place, I think. So it's somewhere in there. It's a very wishy-washy, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly type area where this happens. Now, not only are the Klingons going to make you angry because they look ridiculous. If you haven't seen them, just Google it. It's ridiculous because they don't look like Klingons. Like they're this awful, oily, black, like the ridges are everywhere and they have no hair whatsoever. I'm okay with the fact that their costumes are different. That's fine. Like everybody has to put their own little like on a Star Trek series, but just there's very specific details that get me so enraged. Like, for instance, they get in hand-to-hand combat fights with humans and the humans win. It's it's infuriating. Like, that's not a Klingon. Like, just name it something else. Go to war with something else. That's fine. There's a lot of aliens. It's an entire, universes on top of universes, galaxies. Like, it's fine. Just make it a different alien. Also, the plot devices plays out very differently than any other Star Trek show. Most Star Trek shows are not based around just one character. They go between several different, like, people, and it's all very, like, group and party, like, associated with that. This, however, is very hyper-focused on Michael Burnham, the main character who, if you've seen posters or seen anything like that, that's your girl right there. It's really hard for me because they so are very amoral. Like, they do focus on some rules, but not others, and I'm just so used to Star Trek being just genuinely good people. So it's very difficult. Specifically, the captain is really amoral, and I have my suspicions about who he actually is. I don't think he is who he says he is. But it's just, like, be prepared. They're going to drop F-bombs. They're going to talk about rape. Like, it gets real. Like, they're definitely trying to be, like, the Game of Thrones of Star Trek, which I still don't know how I feel. Now, they keep going with the Klingons for a little too long, but finally, the last, like, 3 episodes is when you're going to... I had to admit, like, because for so long, I was hate watching it. Straight up. I bought the thing so that I could talk with you guys and live tweet it. So if you have watched the show, go check out GeekChic Promotions Twitter. It's under the hashtag GCP Discovery, and you can see some of the tweets that I had. Some a little ragey. Like, I kind of flipped out when they dropped F-bombs, not gonna lie. But also there was an episode that I had to be like, no, I actually, this is pretty fun. This is pretty good. So because there's a point that you're like, I'm just going to watch it as a sci-fi show. I'm just going to watch it as a sci-fi show. It's fine. Like, just don't think about Star Trek. Don't try to get my super fan, like, rage going. But then they try to needle in Star Trek references, and it makes me crazy. Like, I can't help it. Oh, sup, Sisyphon? Hey. So, I recommend... Okay, so here's the problem, though, right? Because we already had the fall break for Discovery, which kind of sucks because we only had 9 episodes before that. So now we have a month of paying for CBS at All Access for nothing. Because even their shows that are going on right now, you can watch them on TV, you can DVR them, whatever, but no shows are on during the holidays. So you're just going to pay for nothing, just so you know. I would wait to start CBS All Access until January 7th is when the next season of it starts. Now, like I said, by the last 3 episodes is when I started getting into Star Trek Discovery, because finally they started doing it where it was all the group together. Like, it wasn't just from one person's perspective. It was a fun, like, it wasn't super depressing every GD episode. Ha! Rudkim. Oh, you texted me. Oh, hey, I'll check my phone as soon as I'm done. Okay, so Nick, Sisyphon, I'm not going to spoil anything, but just so you know, like, once you catch up with it, it actually does start getting pretty good. Gary can verify. It does start getting fun. Like, and the cliffhanger, I have to say, for a, like, mid-season break, this was an excellent cliffhanger, because basically 3 different fan theories that you probably have with all the banana stuff going on that, like, episodes, it leaves you like, but I could be right, but I could be wrong, what is happening? So in Discovery 2, will they discover D? Good job. The other fun thing, okay, so this is the other thing about, it's just a poorly named show. Like, don't they know that nerds like to abbreviate everything? Like Game of Thrones, Star Trek Next Generation. We just abbreviate it to the first letter. So Star Trek Discovery is STD. So the whole reason they had their little workout outfits, which I appreciate that they upgraded the ones that poor Deanna Troi and Dr. Crusher would wear when they're doing just their stretches and their, like, sweet spandex, like onesies over the tights with the armbands and everything. Like, I like the shirts, but That's the whole reason they had hashtag like disco shirts, because they were like, everybody, just kidding, do hashtag disco, not hashtag STD for our show. Oh, well, Sisyphon, oh, I see. So you've already been spoiled for everything. I promise I will only lightly like review everything. No spoilers, I promise. But there are some fan theories going around, and see if you pick up on them, of people that are human, that are actually disguised, or that are actually Klingon disguised as human. There's theories about the mirror universe, or maybe time displacement. I don't know. I'm super excited about it. Let's see what my little ornament has to say.
Father, I am not our father.
He's not his father. All right. Okay, so George, you said you gave up at the Groundhog Day episode, because there is a timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly episode, and what's funny is that's the episode that I finally was like, okay, like I'm cool with this, because it at first, when it first came on, and you can check the tweets, because I literally said this, I was like, isn't it a bit early in a season to be doing the timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly episode, isn't it? But it ends up, I like that episode. I think that's fun. It's Star Trek. It's very Star Trek, especially the way it ends. I love the character of Mudd, like, and for those who know the original Star Trek, Mudd is also in that, so that's a fun, for us fans who know both, it's a really fun, like, crossover with that. So, George, I suggest to keep going. I don't know if you got the all access or not. Honestly, so here's the thing, guys. So if the next season starts in January, and you're not one of those nerds that has to be directly on top of, like, as soon as stuff comes out that you're going to be on it and watch it, you can probably get it get all access at the end of the season, because it's free for a week. And here's a little tip: sign up for the one without commercials, because for that week, you'll still get it for free without commercials. Binge watch the whole thing and then cancel it. You heard it here, folks. Breaking the system. Yes, Chris. Good timing, Chris. You read my mind. Yeah, that's exactly. I think, honestly, especially with like the last 3 episodes being better, I do have very high hopes for this next season. Like, it's not often anymore that I get so excited for what is it going to happen next? Because sometimes cliffhangers just piss me off, because they're just so like, now you're just making me angry, because that's a stupid way to end this. But this cliffhanger, it really got all of my nerd juices going, because it hints to so many different fan theories that I think they actually like caught on to fans. And also, I feel like they even started dialing back the Klingons. Like, they kind of fixed their, like, weird face prosthetic things they have going on. Because, like, I don't know if you noticed in the first couple episodes, their prosthetics doesn't even fit in their suit. Like, it just, like, bundles up, and they just look like these little poor toads, like, stuck in their, like, masks. But they got a little better, and they toned down, like, the oily blackness. And it's more of, like, a gray, like, ashy tone. And I'm really hoping that they're just a separate sect that shave off all their hair. You know, like, because honestly, I would be fine with it if they just had hair. Like, they just look so ridiculous with no hair. Ah, Joshua, good thinking. Yeah, I mean, you can also do that with Netflix and all that kind of stuff, just to, like, watch Punisher. No spoilers on Punisher, though, because I haven't watched it yet. I'm probably going to binge watch it over Thanksgiving, so no spoilers. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what's kind of sucks about the CBS app. And we actually talked about it on our Nerd Rage last week, about all the different apps and all the different ways of streaming. So if you missed that, go back to GeekChic Promotions, either on our Facebook page or our YouTube, and you can see us kind of raging about all the different types of streaming networks and how it does and doesn't work. Because CBS had the right idea to do an app, I guess, even though we're tired of paying for more and more apps. But they didn't make it able for you to binge watch it. Like, that was the really annoying thing, right? And it wasn't available anywhere else. Like, they put the first episode on live TV, and are like, JK, you have to buy the app now. Like, and the first few episodes got me a little angry. I mean, obviously, we've talked about that, but it didn't help me be like, I'm so excited about buying this app. No, it was nerd rage horrific. So I would suggest just waiting until the, so let's see, January, February. I think it's like in the beginning of March or the end of February that the last episode should be airing. So that's when you should probably join in for the CBS All Access and binge watch it. Or if you're lucky enough to be in like the UK, they already put it on the Netflix. Geez, like make your lives easier. What about us? Okay, so Gary is commenting about the designer, Neville Page. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That the designer had his addiction to the Klingons having no hair since designing them for Into Darkness, even saying that film's name upsets me. Yeah, Into Darkness is not our favorite. It's not great. I was excited for Khan, but I did not like what they did with him. Didn't work. But yeah, Neville Page, I'm not happy with their design on Klingons. It's ridiculous. Like, I understand you really want to put your own stamp on stuff, but not something that has existed for 50 years. Like, you just can't. I mean, even Doctor Who, there's been some missteps in, like, their designs of, like, at one point the Daleks looked absolutely ridiculous, but then they're like, just kidding, because timey-wimey fixed it. Unfortunately, you can't do that with, like, Star Trek. There's only a little bit of timey-wimey stuff you can do, and it's not going to fix the terrible thing you did to the Klingons. Just give them their hair, man. Just give them that. They're going to lose this war. We already know that. Just give them hair. That's the least you could do. And it is really interesting, like, after talking this week a lot, I mean, I've been talking about this show a lot, but this weekend specifically, very aggressively, I feel like I could get on board. I know I get very picky, like, as I've discussed, I don't really feel like Enterprise counts, because I hate it so much. I hated Enterprise. I get it. Supposedly it got, like, on its thing by the end, which is fine, good for you, but that's the same reason I don't watch Gotham, I don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't have time to watch, like, shitty seasons of TV. Like, if you don't get me, like, anyways. So, even though Enterprise, and I still haven't watched, what's the one that they don't ever actually travel, they're just on the accounts. No, Gary, in my mind, it doesn't. Hello, John. Okay, so what series am I watching now, and what are my favorites, and what will I watch next? Okay, so of Star Trek, of the Star Trek variety, Orville is amazing. It's amazing, and it's so interesting to me that it came on at the same time as Star Trek Discovery, or no, it was like a week or two before, or something like that. I can't remember how, like, it actually timed out. But I almost feel bad for Discovery because, A, Orville is so much easier to watch, because if you have Fox or if you have Hulu, guess what? You can see it. It's not like it costs you $10 a month just to watch one show. Orville has the heart. Again, Orville's, its pilot is pretty bad. I will admit that, but definitely watch it and pull through, because by the second, third episode, it really gets in its own, like, web of things, and it's amazing. So definitely watch Orville. It's great because it pisses off our business partner Beth, because she hates Seth MacFarlane and she's angry that she likes it. So I guess that's a compliment to him. Oh, Sisyphon is quoting the incredible, the terrible theme song to Star Trek Enterprise, which literally, when me and my friends got together to watch the first episode on TV Kids, because that was before DVR or Netflix, we actually sat down at the time that it came on TV. All of our friends, we made the popcorn, we're ready to go, we're sitting in anticipation, and then that terrible theme song came on, and we just started, like, throwing popcorn at the screen, like, boo! Boo! That is not Star Trek! What does my thing have to say about it?
When you alone could have explained the truth. Because you're near each other. I could not deprive you of the revelation of all that you could accomplish together. Of a friendship.
Goodness, that's a long quote. Still going. I don't know if you guys can even hear that. Sorry. Okay, so Darren says the most recent Fears episode of the Orville was my first time watching, and I loved it. Yeah, I haven't even seen the last episode, but this whole series, so Darren, make sure to go back and watch it from the beginning. It's great. They hit some hard-hitting issues, and yes, they still have to have some humor in it, But what's great is that you can tell it's humor from a super uber Star Trek fan. So there's times like, so for example, the captain, Seth MacFarlane, has to go and have this meeting with like aliens, and the aliens are like, here's some of our food, like please eat while we discuss. And like, I always wondered this when I was watching Star Trek Next Generation or any of them, when they eat like alien food, it must be horrible. Like, what if it's just totally unpalatable for them? Wouldn't they like spit it out, or like how do they like totally just eat it? And it happens in the scene that Seth MacFarlane has to spit it out. It's so gross. So definitely Orville is incredible for if you want to get that Star Trek fix, like that sci-fi fix. Other shows that I'm watching that can still kind of fit in the sci-fi genre, and also fantasy and comic booky type genre. I do really like The Gifted. That's a really good spinoff, and I'm a huge X-Men fan. You guys can't see it, but literally my camera right now is on top of stacks and stacks of my X-Men comic books, which I have an entire bookcase full of, so me gusta. But that's another one that's definitely like another really good like fantasy sci-fi show to be on. Hi, Kathy. Okay, Darren, again, the humor also felt like it belonged there. If you were on a humorous life mission, you would lose your mind, and it felt like a crew you'd like to work with. Yeah, that's actually, a lot of the humor too is great, because if you think about these guys, they're kind of blue collar people. Like it is very Star Trek-y. It's not exactly Star Trek. So they're a little bit more blue collar-y type people that have been like working forever and are on this starship, and they make like ridiculous jokes to each other all the time. And like you can really feel the camaraderie more almost when they aren't being as professional as they were on Star Trek Next Generation. All right, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I guess everybody tells me I have to give it a chance. Just let me know when I have to skip to, because guys, that first season was terrible. Like, that was really bad. I could only get like 3 or 4 episodes in. It was bad. But anyways, back to Star Trek. So definitely the Orville for your fix. And I have to say, like, at the end of the day, even though more than half of the first season, or first half season, I don't know, of Star Trek Discovery gave me a lot of nerd rage, I'm really liking it now. I have to admit it. I like it. I'm on board. Like, and especially discussing it more this weekend with my friend Hector. Like, he really kind of like keyed me in to be like, all right, calm down, nerd. Like, this is a very different Star Trek, because we needed something we've never seen before. We needed something that was in a time when, before they were like worried about the Prime Directive, before they were like very, I don't want to say good people, but very like to the letter kind of socially evolved people. All right, you guys just keep talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on this thread. Enjoy. But for sure, like, it's definitely giving my Star Trek feels now that we've gotten to the last 3 episodes. So I highly suggest waiting until the end of the full first season, joining CBS All Access, blowing through it, and catching up that way. And if you are still on CBS All Access, join me every, Sunday nights at 5:30 PT, so Pacific time. I will continue to live tweet about it on GeekChic Promotions Twitter at hashtag GCP Discovery, so we can talk through all of our nerd rage or our joy in what is happening, and we can also discuss all of our fan theories, because there's so many, guys. Like, that's what's really exciting about this, is that they're really feeding into fan theories of us like coming up with like crazy ideas and just hinting at stuff, because at first it seemed like over foreshadowing, but then they're writing it well enough, they're like, is it though? Is it? So it's really good. So just to kind of bring this all to a close with all of my Star Trek stuff around me. I don't know if you can see quite all of it, but if you look at the photo I posted, I got most of it there. Obviously, huge Star Trek fan, grew up with it, love it. All right, John, you are correct. Like, Doctor Who is an amazing sci-fi show, obviously. Unfortunately, it's not on right now. Super stoked about the Christmas special. Don't Blink is actually the way that I always introduce Doctor Who fans. So for all of you that have never seen Doctor Who, start with Don't Blink. It's in the Tennant year, so I think that's season 3 or 4 of the new Who. Gary will totally correct me on that. But like that's a really great way to start on the Doctor Who universe because it's fantastic. So for all of you nerds out there, thank you for joining me on Ruse Day Tuesday, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for our Nerd Rage. Tomorrow we are nerd raging about movies that you either did walk out on or really wanted to walk out on. We're also going to talk about how nerds need to slow their roll and wait till they actually see the product before getting nerd raged about it, and so much more. So please join us tomorrow, and thank you again for joining, and we'll see you next time on Ruse Day Tuesday. Peace. Ba, 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 ba.